Hey everyone, I'm Zane and I want to welcome you to the Dr. Yum Project Kitchen today, where I'm here with a new mini-series, Cooking on Your Own for the First Time. So just a little bit about me. I've been with the project since I was a little kid, being like a tiny taster, tasting recipes and stuff. Since then, I've been doing volunteering, whether it be at cooking classes. I've worked with some of the survey stuff for preschool curriculum. I've just been volunteering just around the kitchen. So cooking on your own for the first time is a little personal to me because I'm about to go off to college. You may be going off to college yourself. You may be moving out for the first time and you're living by yourself, or you may be just trying to widen your food opportunities, your view on food. And you may have not grown up in a household that is super food centric. I grew up in a household where everyone was all hands on deck for dinner, but maybe you grew up in a place where that wasn't really the moves. Maybe it was more of a takeout place. This is a chance to learn right now. We're gonna be in this together. Something to take note, by the way, more people than ever are using food pantries right now. Colleges and universities have food pantries as well. So we're gonna try to do a good job of fitting that into the series as well. Looking how to cook with what you can get from a food pantry, because sometimes you're gifted with ingredients that you may not be used to, you need to find a recipe for. So we're gonna be tackling that topic along with a lot of other topics, such as we're gonna be doing some budgeting, some meal planning, just working with pantry staples. So for today's topic, we're gonna be elevating some just prepared pantry foods with fresh ingredients and vegetables to add a little bit more flavor and flair. There are a lot of reasons that you might do this. One is this kind of monotone flavor of eating the same thing over and over. You might want more variety, adding something new, just kind of spicing it up a little bit. Also, you may want more nutrition. Something like just a bag of ramen doesn't really give you a lot, so you may want to put in something like a hard-boiled egg and just change it up a little bit. Also, if you are adding more ingredients, you're probably going to get more of a result out of it in terms of how much. So you can kind of stretch something like a frozen pizza to a couple more people if you're adding a lot of stuff on it. Maybe make leftovers and just create more. Also helps the budget. So you can elevate a lot of things, like I said before, pizza, ramen, making something like microwave nachos is very easy. But today we're gonna be doing some boxed mac and cheese. So I hope you'll join me as I get some of my ingredients ready and I'll show you how to truly elevate some mac and cheese. This is Annie's, which is my favorite. You can use whatever you have at home. I just think this probably it's my favorite because it has maybe the most authentic cheese taste. We've got that, and we're just gonna be using some basic pantry staples. We've got onion, we have frozen peas, some spinach. We just wanna kind of jazz it up a bit. This is very much just in kind of an improvisation-like recipe, just kind of taking whatever you have, throwing it into a mac and cheese. This is just what we're doing today. It's gonna be a journey for you, but it's also gonna be a journey for me. Also, we're gonna be doing something special. We're gonna be doing some breadcrumbs on top, throwing it in the oven. You can definitely just take parts of this recipe, add in your own things. Personally, we aren't doing any meat because I'm a vegetarian, but if you want to throw something in like bacon or pancetta, or if you have extra sausage, this is very good for cleaning out your fridge if you have extra stuff that you just need to get rid of so it doesn't go bad. So we're gonna start by just slicing up these onions to caramelize them. It's gonna take maybe 20, 30 minutes, so I wanna get that on so we can kind of get through this speedy. We don't want to be spending like 2-3 hours cooking. So we do have a great video up on our website of just how to dice an onion. For this, we're gonna be slicing it. So I am going to be chopping off the root, chopping off the stem, just going down lengthwise. And then I'm just gonna be doing long strips to throw into the pan. I've heard a lot of things about how to not cry while chopping onions. I have a friend that chews gum. I don't know if that's a thing. I've also heard glasses work. It's not too bad. I think crying is a healthy emotion. We should just embrace it. So now that we've got our onions chopped, I'm actually gonna go ahead and prepare some other stuff. I am a procrastinator. I probably would have left this until the end and burnt a lot of things. So I'm just gonna get this taken care of. Here in the kitchen, we practiced a lot of mise en place. It's kind of a scary French term. Basically just means everything in its place. Getting stuff prepared early on makes sure that you have everything on hand and also that you can add everything at its own pace. So it's not that you're rushing to finish something while something else is cooking. Everything is just done stress-free. So I've got breadcrumbs here. This is just stuff that we're gonna do on top. So adding breadcrumbs, adding some cheese. This is just Parmesan. It's what we have on hand. You don't need to go out and get anything super special for this. Just adding some cheese. I may not do all of it. Then also some olive oil. Just make sure that it's kind of sticking together on top, creating that crust. So I'm just gonna add a bit of olive oil. And then parsley, add some more flavor, some more notes. Also, parsley looks fancy, So I'm going to add a little bit of parsley. I'm probably going to need a little more, maybe a little more olive oil. But this is what we're going to be putting on top before we put it in the oven, just to get crust on it. There is a lot of debate. I will say mac and cheese, probably one of my favorite foods, definitely in the top 5. There's a lot of debate in the mac and cheese community about whether you bake it or just keep it on the stove. I usually want some sort of crust on top. Mac and cheese is very one texture. It's just kind of chewy. So these breadcrumbs are looking good. We'll be putting this on top. You can see there's specks of green in it. This is a pretty easy recipe. There's not too many things we need to prepare. Something that we did do earlier that I'll mention is we just kind of nuked these peas in the microwave. They were frozen, just wanted to get them ready. There's not too much we're gonna be doing with that. But now that we have everything prepared, I'm gonna take you over to the stove. I'm just gonna start caramelizing these onions. We're gonna start by just adding a little oil. We've got this pan over medium-high heat. Adding some oil. Basically what's going to happen is we're just trying to break down the onion. We might have a lot right now. This is all going to become a lot smaller. It's very much like spinach or any kind of other greens. So we're just going to add these onions to the pan. You can already hear them sizzling as I try not to burn myself. Add a little bit of salt on top to sweat out the onions a little bit. And also there's some bigger pieces of onions, breaking these up. So if you can see here, there's pieces that the slices may not have gone all the way through. Just breaking up the rings of onions with the spoon. So what's going to happen here is this will just keep cooking, and it doesn't have to be tended to super intently. It can definitely be something that's going on in the background. You just need to be aware of it and keep kind of moving them around. It can take anywhere from, I think some people have said that they've done it in 15 minutes, which I think is a lie. I've done it in the past in maybe 20 to 30 minutes it's taken me. You want it to be kind of slow cooking. You don't want everything to get charred immediately. If the heat is too hot, things will get burnt. I'm now going to move over to, we have some boiling water that we turn down because it does make a lot of noise. And we're just going to be adding our pasta. This says 8 to 10 minutes, not 8 to 12 minutes. Don't want to end up with gummy pasta. So we're just going to add this in. We've already salted the water. And you can definitely take any of this. This doesn't have to only be to box pasta. This can be, if you have maybe like spaghetti in like boxed spaghetti, any of these toppings that we have can be added to anything. Thank you, handy dandy assistant from beyond. Just going to kind of move the pasta around a little bit. What we don't want is for it to get stuck at the bottom. So we're back. It's a little bit later. Onions aren't completely done, but you can see kind of the progress that we've made. It's getting a little browner. We're getting more translucent. You can definitely see that the volume has died down quite a bit. This stage is kind of what I refer to as like fajita veggies stage. It's also good just learning how to cook an onion and stuff, because sometimes you haven't quite done this before. Onions are very multi-purpose. This is something that if you are doing fajitas, you've now learned how to make fajitas as making fancy mac and cheese. So we've got this kind of going. If you can see the bottom of the pan, there's a couple of like these brown bits. Brown is not bad. Brown bits in the pan are actually, I would say if you're smelling burning, if you're smelling smoke, that's a point where you might be thinking, oh, I might be burning this, let's turn down the heat, maybe switch to a different pan. What we're doing here is we're creating all these little caramelized bits of a lot of flavor at the bottom, and sometimes we don't want that to stick to the bottom of the pan. So what we're going to be doing is called deglazing. I'm going to add a little bit of water, and what that's going to do is going to loosen the bottom of these kind of brown bits and incorporate them back into the pan. You can see the water's turning brown almost immediately, and you can see where the water has been is now white again. And you can mix it back into the onions, reincorporate some of these brown bits. I may do this closer to the end again when these are almost at full caramelization state. We aren't quite there yet. It'll get a bit browner, and the onions will shrink up. Also, what the water is doing is, since we have more water in, it's creating a bit of steam, which will help cook these onions through maybe a little bit faster. Because caramelizing onions is kind of a process. It isn't something that you can leave and just walk away for 30 minutes. You need to be not super attentive, but come back every minute or so. Just stir them around so things aren't burning. If you keep it there for too long, the bottoms of the onion are going to get cooked and the tops are going to be a little on the rawer side. So now that we've done that, our pasta is getting ready. I'm going to grab a couple of pot holders to grab with. So this said 8 to 10 minutes, and since we are actually putting it in the oven and we aren't just keeping it here, I did it for 7 because while we put it in our cheese sauce and we put it back in the oven, we're getting more heat, so we're going to get more of a cook on these noodles. So I want to make sure that they aren't going to get overcooked. I'm going to just pour it into this colander here. Our colander, if you are using a smaller shape, more like elbow mac or these kind of tubes, very craft-like, you might want a smaller strainer. As you can see, there's some noodles stuck to the bottom. What I do is I just get some extra water in. There was water in before. I might get my tool from earlier, which I can grab. This probably would have been prevented if I did a little bit more stirring, but nobody's perfect. I've already almost burned myself in this video. So there we go. We've got most, if not all, of our pasta now in the colander. We're just gonna let this cool a little bit while our onions finish. I'm just gonna put the stove back, turn off the heat. So now we're just gonna prepare the cheese sauce. We aren't doing anything special here. We're just doing it according to package directions. They always say for richer flavor, add some butter. This butter is very softened, which I wasn't expecting. When you are baking mac and cheese, as opposed to just making it normally, you do want it to be on the looser side, sauce related, just because when you bake it, the sauce is going to reduce a little bit and it's gonna get a little less loose, a little, I guess fuller is the best word, a little thicker maybe. Also on the butter, this may be self-explanatory, but there are a lot of people that aren't doing that much cooking, and you've got to start somewhere. They've got these really nice just measurements on the side that can tell you exactly how many tablespoons, how many cups, stick of butter, half a cup. So we're using 1/4 of a cup. On the back of the box though, since we are doing a double batch, it does say 2 tablespoons. So something that's really good while cooking is learning these conversions, teaspoons, tablespoons to cups, also ounces, fluid ounces, that kind of stuff. So on the website, we do have a just an easy doc that just helps explain what to what that's going to be printable, and it's just really easy just having it there, knowing how many teaspoons are in tablespoons, so you can do that off the top of your head because there might be stuff cooking in the background and you have time to run to your computer and check. Then we've also got 3 tablespoons of low-fat milk, which is doubling it, so we're going to be doing 6 tablespoons. I know that is about between 1/4 of a cup and half a cup. As you can see, we aren't using a whole carton of milk. This is something really easy. If you're in college and you have a cafeteria, you can just pick this up. You don't need a lot of milk. So you can see we already have the butter kind of melting. Just going to be adding in our milk too. I'm going to keep waiting for this butter to melt. You can also always break it up. A lot of this is just very simple stuff, but as I did say, you have to start somewhere. Not a lot of people grow up cooking. As the butter is melting though, you can see in the background, we do have our onions that have been caramelized. I've deglazed it. Again, you can see that there are a couple more brown bits, but we're basically there. If you aren't sure how far to take it, you can always just look up a photo. Google is probably the single best invention, in my opinion. You can just look up whatever. So I just looked up just to make sure that I'm on the right track about the right color. Butter is almost melted. I'm just going to rip open these. So our onions are done, so I'm going to take them out. Caramelizing onions, I know I didn't explain before. It's just a very easy step that can take a dish to the next level. Caramelizing onions, basically it's kind of getting all this sugar out. It gives a sweetness to the onions. It also gives an umami or a savoriness. In this meal that we're making right now, we don't have any meat. So this is a nice touch that gives that kind of meaty taste and texture. So I'm going to put these over here back to our assembling station. And now I'm going to do the spinach. I'm keeping it in the same pan just because we have these kind of brown bits that we had before. And if I can, I want to bring as much up as I can, get as much of that flavor in as I can. This spinach is going to go super, the volume's going to decrease very quickly. Just keeping it in the same pan because then there's less mess as well. I think the hardest thing about cooking, it's cleaning up afterwards, because when I cook, it's like a tornado in the kitchen, is what I've been told. So I just added some salt in there. I just don't want the spinach to be bland. We have that in. I'm going to add the garlic in. I'm waiting just a little bit because I've noticed that when I do garlic, it burns fairly quickly. I'm also going to increase the heat. I still had it on low when the onions were done. I add garlic to everything. If you do have the squeeze bottle, you're kind of god tier because that's just such a quick cheat of just being able to kind of squeeze it in so you don't have to mince. If you are wondering about mincing garlic, we do have a great video on our website that you can check out. But garlic you can add to almost everything. As you can see, I say as you can see so much. I'm sorry. Someone should comment how many times I say as you can see in this video for my own enjoyment. Also because We need comments, like, comment, subscribe if this is something that you're into. You can also chop up the spinach beforehand if you don't want these larger pieces. I'm not afraid of vegetables, so I am very okay to have a big bite that is just vegetables and that has little mac. But if you are trying to get a more cohesive kind of dish, you can definitely cut it up. It's just an extra step. If you want to pan over to the cheese sauce is done. It's chilling, it's sitting, it's on low. You can see there might be a little clump over there. And as you can see, count that. Let's say when you look over to this pan, you can view that the spinach has dramatically decreased in volume. There is, as you can, I'm going to stop talking for the rest of the video. The spinach is now basically done. So I am going to turn off the heat and I'm going to now assemble the mac and cheese. So we've already done our noodles, we've already done our sauce. I really quickly mixed them up in here because I don't want to be made a fool of on camera. And I know that heart pan, while it's very aesthetically pleasing, it's very difficult to get stuff out of. So I've already mixed that up here. And I'm going to add our caramelized onions that we made. And then all of that spinach that we did, this is how much spinach we have left. It's kind of a magic trick. You can see all of the bits and garlic in there. You may want to do more or less of these ingredients, just depends on your taste. We have a boatload of peas, so I'm going to add some of these. I may not add all of them, but I'm going to mix and see. See all of our ingredients. This is going to be so good. This is also going to be our lunch for both me and everyone who's helping film this. And what's really nice about these shells is that they hold the peas very well. They're almost perfectly sitting in each other. And you can view now, and will not be saying as you can see anymore. This is pretty good. I'm going to be putting it in this pie pan. You can use like a gratin dish if you have that. If you have even like a 9x9 brownie pan or anything. We just want something to put it in the oven, something that's safe. This is also just much like the heart pan, aesthetically pleasing. I'm just going to pan it up a little bit. I was not thinking that this was going to be enough, and it's actually filling up the pan pretty nicely. This is beautiful. Oh, the pan's in the way. Sorry, Pam. Just very pretty. I'm happy with myself. Okay. So we also have these breadcrumbs that we made earlier. Just going to put these on top. Really what we're trying to do is we're just getting all these flavors to come together. Also, I'm going to get in with my hands because I did wash my hands, which you should be doing for at least 20 seconds. I just want to have a little bit more control over these breadcrumbs. We just want these breadcrumbs to get very toasty as well. We're just using panko, which is Japanese breadcrumbs. I'm just going to throw this in the oven right now, and I will show you the result. We just took this out of the oven. You can either, if you have more cheese sauce, I'd probably bake it, but we didn't have much and I didn't want to dry it out, so we broiled it really quickly just to get the top nice and toasty. You can see right here, it is beautifully golden brown on top. Absolutely perfect. I would just say if you're broiling it, watch it. All broilers are different, and they're sneaky and they're mischievous, and they will sneak up on you. Ooh, it's looking good. I'm just getting a small portion for myself. It doesn't have to be pretty. If you want it to be pretty, it can be pretty. I'm really here for what's inside, which is the taste. If you do want to, I will say I do like taking photos of almost everything I cook. I like taking photos just because then I can look back on what I've made, the progress I've gone through, what I started out making, what I'm making now. Also just a reminder of I need something to cook tonight. What have I made in the past? I can just look through a quick photo album. So I've got this here. I'm sorry that I'm eating this and you aren't here to eat it. I'm going to try to get a perfect bite of a little bit of spinach, a little bit of onion, a little bit of mac and cheese, and it's really good. And caramelized onion is definitely the star. It just adds so much, and you just have to put it on. It's so easy to make. You just put it on, stir it every once in a while. If you have the time, I'd say go ahead and do it. If you don't have the time, just make mac and cheese. Just add some little quick things. The spinach took super quickly. Peas were really easy. And you can always use whatever you have in your kitchen, whatever you have in your fridge, pantry. Just jazz it up. This is a lot of fun. I'm going to be here maybe in another week, another 2 weeks or something with another episode, probably on meal planning. I'll probably have a guest. Again, like, comment, subscribe. Just because if you don't know when the video is coming out, how are you going to know when to come on the channel unless you subscribe? Also comment. We'd love to hear some feedback of things that you want to know, things you want to learn, if you have any favorite moments. So thank you so much, and I hope I can see you again.